So, Lorenzo, as an extension of the conversation that we had earlier as well about ChatGPT, this is a new phenomena. It's kind of people are kind of super excited, super freaked out about it. And I know that this is something that you've thought a fair amount about. So, I wanted to kind of dig a little deeper and kind of specifically zero in on how you believe that it would affect the life of the day-to-day life of a conversion optimizer or a marketer.
Yeah, I spent a little bit of time, in the past 5, 7 days since Chat GPT came out, to think about like how our work, my work, will be different in the next years, based on this new amazing technology that we have available now, and we'll see what's going to happen in the future. And I actually came up with like 4 potential scenarios. I think there's like 10x more of scenarios, but in this short time, I've come up with like 4 kind of like concepts. So the first one is, imagine, this is, I would say the classic one is, AI will tell us, will help us craft a product description. I'm not saying that we'll replace Rishi, because I don't think they will get there. But even from, because now you can actually talk to the AI and have a chat conversation. So maybe you can start very generic. Hey, write a product description for X product, right? And then you can go deeper and like, oh, double down on the persuasiveness of these product attribute, or double down on persuasiveness for this benefit or this selling point. So you kind of start to go deeper into getting ideas for copy that you can leverage in the product description. So that's one, and kind of like super, like one that makes sense. The second one I had in mind was more research summarization. So I think we'll, in few years, I don't know when, but in few years, we will be able to basically give all the qualitative data that we have discovered through, surveys, interviews, reviews mining, social media mining, and so on, and all the other forms of even like QVC pitch, right? Imagine that as well. You will fit all that to AI, and AI will come up with a summarization of benefits, summarizations of objections, summarizations of like issues, and so on. So kind of like, instead of, Lorenzo now maybe spends, let's say, 30 hours doing that, like putting together, like collecting the feedback, the insights, and, using his experience and his creativity to come up with like all the different ideas. While I totally see a time saving in that process. The third one, which is the one that gets me excited the most, Rishi, is, have you seen this product called DAL-E, the image generation AI?
I've seen some of the results of it, but I haven't played around with the tool itself.
I am super excited about that, because one of the biggest friction points that I've had, in the past, since I started my CRO career, is assets from clients, right? Like, I have this concept in mind, but the client has to spend money to create this image asset or this visual concept, right? They need to hire a photographer, blah, blah. So I think in the future, and I know there's already some technology that does that, it's still in beta. But I think in the future, we will be able to type in what we want to see in the image related to the product, let's say Yeti product, right? The cooler. And AI will be able to show it an image about what we just described. And I'm super freaking excited about this.
Yeah, the people who are in the photo shoot business are going to really suffer. But you're right. I mean, you can kind of tell, I guess, theoretically to the AI that I want to show this Yeti in the South Pole, for example, and it could like put together, stitch together. And really, I mean, once you have that, we in the future we might even have product videos that are you give them a bunch of still images, and they actually make a product demonstration video based on that. So it's quite exciting. I feel optimistic about it. I think there's one more you had, or was that your fourth one, right?
No, I think what's gonna be interesting is another trend, which is like building an AI model based on the company information. What I mean by that is imagine feeding the model, the AI model, with results from Facebook ads campaign, results from Google ads campaign, all the qualitative research you have done, all the email copy and visual that you've used in your whatever Klaviyo or email marketing tool you have, and the results from a metrics perspective and sales perspective that you got. And then the AI will give you a recommendation around copy, visual, and campaigns and concepts, both for acquisition, retention, and for conversion as well.
Yeah, it is quite interesting. And one thing that I thought about this morning actually was, I feel like we get excited about tools and technologies. Just to kind of give a counterpoint, we get excited about tools and technologies. Really, at the end of the day, and I think you've written something about this as well, about, it's really about having the curiosity and asking really good questions that really matters. So like when I was thinking about like how this technology is going to change our world, and then I remembered, maybe like 7 years ago, I was meeting a client and his girlfriend was out for dinner with us. And I didn't have an iPhone. So this might have been even like more, maybe like 9 years ago. Didn't have an iPhone back then. And she had an iPhone with Siri. And she was like super excited about it. She's telling me about all the questions she would ask Siri, and all the really like the whole conversation was around what conversations that she's had with Siri. And I was like really envious of her because like I don't have that technology. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get an iPhone now. But I have had an iPhone for 8 years now, and I've never used Siri. So I think it'll be interesting to see how how it actually plays out. But I think it's quite interesting.
Yeah, I think it's like one thing that I've been thinking a lot about is, how will I incorporate this into my day to day, to even like being able to be more efficient, meaning like have higher number of clients, deliver the same quality of work. But so more clients, same quality of work, but same level of number of hours spent working. I think it's gonna be helpful for me in the future.
But what's interesting, of course, is that to also remember that markets normalize, right? So if your throughput goes up, then essentially what's happening is that then other people can also, their throughput also goes up, which means that technically clients would start paying less for those same services. So there's a whole bunch of things. So relatively, are we still because it's not a competitive advantage that only you have access to. So if everyone has access to it, then it just raises the bar for everybody. So it'll be interesting to see how these technologies evolve.
I think 100% sure, 100% true. I think, at you will see that advantage at the beginning, right? Because it's not that everybody will start using, like, think about the no code movement and the no code trend, right? Like, out of 100 companies, how many actually use no code, right? Like, so a lot of people will eventually catch up with that, but not a lot of people at the beginning will incorporate that into their day-to-day.
I absolutely agree. Well, great conversation.
Yeah.